The late afternoon sun was soft and golden, casting a warm glow across the quiet countryside as a gentle breeze carried the sound of children's laughter. It was the kind of day that seemed to have been scripted for a happy ending. Yet the story that led here had been anything but easy. At the entrance of a newly built school, Jung So-min clasped her hands together, her eyes glistening with emotion. Beside her, Jung Hae's smile was tinged with pride and disbelief, as though he still couldn't believe this moment had finally come. Behind them stood their parents, their expressions mirroring a deep satisfaction only a long journey of perseverance could bring. It had been over a year since the two actors, for their on-screen grace and quiet philanthropy, stepped into this remote village. It wasn't for a movie shoot or a drama scene. They had been invited to attend a small cultural exchange event, but nothing could have prepared them for the reality they witnessed. The worn-out shacks served as makeshift classrooms. Desks were little more than planks of wood balanced on stones, and when the rain came, lessons simply stopped because the roofs leaked too badly. In the small medical post, supplies were almost non-existent, just a single rusty cabinet and a nurse who tried to serve hundreds of villagers with little more than her hands and heart. For most people, the visit would have ended with a polite donation and a return to the comfort of Seoul. But for Jung So-min and Jung Hae, the images haunted them. They spoke about it on the long drive back to the city, their conversation starting as casual remarks but deepening into shared resolve. By the time they arrived home, there was no question, they had to do something. And it had to be more than a symbolic gesture. The first step was to understand exactly what the village needed most. After speaking with local leaders, they agreed on 3 ambitious projects: building a proper elementary school, establishing a functional community clinic, and creating a scholarship fund for children from low-income families. The scope was daunting. Alone would require a sum that neither of them could cover on their own without massive sacrifice. But the cause was too important to ignore. So they decided to open it up to a broader community. They began by hosting a charity fan meeting in Seoul, an event that sold out in minutes. Fans who had followed their careers for years were eager to help. Jung Hae auctioned off a leather jacket he had worn in one of his most iconic dramas, and Jung So-min put up a beloved piano from her home. Bond sales from that single evening surpassed their initial target for the first phase of the project. The momentum was addictive. In the months that followed, they organized more events, a small acoustic concert, a photo exhibition featuring never-before-seen behind-the-scenes moments, and even an online campaign where fans could sponsor a brick for the new school. But the road wasn't smooth. Bureaucratic delays, heavy rains that turned construction sites into rivers of mud, and an unexpected shortage of building materials threatened to derail the project multiple times. There were moments when exhaustion crept in, when phone calls from the village brought bad news instead of progress updates. It was during one of those low points that Jung So-min received a package from a group of children in the village, a bundle of hand-drawn pictures showing what their new school might look like. In shaky crayon lines, the children had drawn desks, books, smiling teachers. It was enough to rekindle her determination. The first project to break ground was the elementary school, designed with 6 classrooms, a small library, a playground, teacher's office. It was envisioned as a safe, inspiring place for children to learn without fear of rain soaking their notebooks. Volunteers from neighboring areas came to help, offering skilled labor, others simply carrying water and food for the workers. Next came the clinic. Partnering with a mid-sized health NGO, they secured medical equipment donations, blood pressure monitors, examination tables, a stock of essential medicines. A small maternity room was added, along with a vaccination station for infants and young children. The moment the clinic doors opened for the first time, a line of patients stretched down the road. For many, it was the first time they had access to a doctor without traveling for hours. The third initiative was the most personal to both actors, the One Year of Hope Scholarship Fund, set up in memory of a close friend of Jung So-min's who had been passionate about education. The fund promised to cover tuition fees, uniforms, basic supplies for at least 50 children each year. The first recipients were chosen carefully. Among them was a boy named Jung Hae, whose story would later touch the entire nation. He had been walking 10 kilometers each way to attend school, carrying his books in a plastic bag. With a scholarship, he would not only study closer to home but also receive the resources he needed to excel. By the 12th month, The vision that had once been a conversation in a car was nearly complete. The final confirmation came one morning when a project manager called Jung So-min with the words she had been longing to hear: "Everything is ready. All 3 projects are fully operational." She stood frozen for a moment before tears welled up and spilled over. She dialed Jung Hae immediately. He answered on the first ring. And before she could speak, her voice broke into a laugh-sob combination that made him chuckle softly. "We did it," she whispered. The official unveiling arrived with clear skies and the scent of freshly painted walls lingering in the air. Villagers had dressed in their best clothes. Of children rehearsed a song they would perform to welcome the guests. As the convoy of cars pulled into the dusty lot, cheers erupted. Jung So-min stepped out first. Wearing a simple cream dress, her hair swept back so that the emotions on her face were visible to all. Jung Hae followed. Moving to the crowd, his smile wide but eyes glistening. The ribbon-cutting ceremony began with the school. A large white cloth was pulled away to reveal a plaque engraved with the words "Hope School, built with love by the hands of many." The children burst into applause, some of them hugging each other, others clinging shyly to the legs of teachers. Inside, new desks gleamed in the sunlight streaming through wide windows. A library corner was stocked with 500 books in both Korean and the local language, and a row of computers stood ready in a small lab. The clinic, the energy was quieter but no less moving. The head nurse, who had once worked in the crumbling old post, fought to hold back tears as she gave the actors a tour. In the maternity room, a newborn's cry echoed down the hall, and the nurse smiled. "It's our first baby delivered here," she said proudly. Outside, families lined up for free health checkups, and an elderly man clasped Jung Hae's hands, thanking him repeatedly in a dialect the actor couldn't fully understand but felt deeply nonetheless. The scholarship announcement took place in the school's courtyard. One by one, the first recipients were called to the stage, holding a certificate and a small backpack filled with school supplies. When it was Jung Hae's turn, he walked up nervously, his new uniform slightly too big for his small frame. Looking out at the crowd, he simply said, "Thank you for making my dream to become a teacher feel possible." It was enough to make both actors and much of the audience wipe their eyes. What made the day even more poignant was the presence of both families. The parents of Jung So-min and Jung Hae had supported the cause from the start, offering advice, making phone calls, even contributing funds quietly. During the speeches, both mothers spoke about how proud they were, not just of their children's careers, but of the way they had chosen to use their influence. Afternoon, hashtags like "1 Year of Hope," "Proud of Jung Hae," and "Hope School" were trending worldwide. Fans shared clips of the ceremony, photos of the ribbon cutting, and personal stories of how the actors' commitment to giving back had inspired them to start their own charity work. Messages flooded in from other celebrities offering congratulations and pledging support for future initiatives. In the evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the crowd gathered for one last symbolic gesture. Children released hundreds of white balloons into the sky, each tied with a small card bearing a message of hope. The balloons floated higher. The village choir began to sing, their voices mingling with the rustle of the wind. Standing side by side, Jung So-min and Jung Hae held hands, expressions reflecting the long road they had walked to get here. After the ceremony, the two actors spoke briefly to the press. Jung So-min's voice trembled as she said, "This is not the end of our journey. It's just the beginning. We've learned that hope grows when you share it, and we intend to keep sharing." Jung Hae nodded, adding, "Over a year ago, we had nothing but an idea and a lot of heart. Today, we have a school, a clinic, scholarship fund, and most importantly, a community that believes in its own future." As they left the village that night, the headlights of their car casting long beams on the quiet road, they both felt an unfamiliar calm. The work had been exhausting, but the joy it brought was a kind of fuel that would last for years. Long-awaited news they had shared was not just about the completion of buildings or the awarding of scholarships. It was about proving that a year of hope, gained by determination and love, could transform lives, not just for those who received, but for those who gave. And in that understanding, found a new sense of purpose that would guide them far beyond this single, unforgettable day.